little kids know it. I don't know if you've seen this, but this was a kid on CNN. This is not AI. This is not a joke. This is real.
What's the first word that pops into your head when you hear the name Kamala Harris?
Liar.
I don't know whose parents, I don't know whose kid that is, but those parents, a parent of the year, right? If that's not a parenting of the year win, I don't know what is.
What's the first word that pops into your head when you hear the name Kamala Harris?
Liar.
You know, that kid's hearing that at home, by the way. He's just reiterating what he hears dad yelling at the screen. Liar! She's lying. And we could go over all the lies, but there's just too many. But everybody knows that Kamala Harris is bad. Kids know it. Donald Trump knows it. The mainstream media knows it. Black voters in Atlanta know it. Listen to this. This is a woman that CNN interviewed. John King was putting together a piece, and he found this woman in Atlanta, Georgia, a swing state that Joe Biden won last time around and that Donald Trump is currently leading in, because black voters, they're not 100% convinced that Kamala Harris is the best choice for them.
I've been a Democrat my entire adult life. This has actually been the first year where I was considering voting Republican.
Her mother isn't happy.
Never thought she'd see a black person president in her life. She did. Now, Kamala Harris is for president. My mother says she don't care what she does. Let's just get her in there. And I simply don't feel the same.
She don't care what she does, what Kamala Harris does. Let's just get her in there. That's the ploy. That's the play. That's what they're trying to do. Her mama said, I saw Barack Obama, the very first black president. I saw that. And I was like, whoa, now we've got Kamala Harris, the very first black/Indian woman to run for president. I don't care what she does. Let's just get her in there. And thank the Lord, this woman's daughter is like, I don't feel the same way. I don't feel like I'm just voting for Kamala Harris because she's a black/Indian woman. I feel like I need to vote for somebody who's going to help me, help my family, help my finances, help my future, help me become safe and secure, help me feel safe and secure in Atlanta, help me take care of my aged mother who clearly is going off the deep end because she's saying, let's just vote for Kamala Harris. I don't care what she's done. I mean, again, even little kids can see through it.
What's the first word that pops into your head when you hear the name Kamala Harris?
Liar.
Liar. That's what he would. You know what? That kid knows what's up. That kid knows what time it is. It's Trump time.
It's Trump time.
Yeah. But Donald Trump, anyway, held this press conference yesterday, and this was one of the best press conferences I've seen Donald Trump hold. Not because of the substance, not because of the presentation, but because of the timing. This is Donald Trump saying that, and this is exactly what he should have done during the debate. During the debate with Kamala Harris, you may remember Donald Trump, I think, did it backwards, and he learned. I don't know if he's listening to the podcast. I don't know if he's watching the live stream, but thank God he figured it out, because during the debate, in his closing statement, Donald Trump said, you need to ask yourself a question. Whenever Kamala Harris says something, ask her, why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. Why hasn't she done it? She's been vice president with Joe Biden for 3.5 years, almost 4. Why hasn't she done it? She talked about bringing down prices of gas and groceries and homes and borrowing money. Why hasn't she done it? She talks about securing the border. She talks about free and fair elections. Why hasn't she done it? He ended the debate with that. You should have done it at the beginning. And then every time she said what she was going to do, you could just be like, I ask again. Why haven't you done it? Well, Donald Trump learned his lesson. So before she goes to the border, he comes out and says, guys, she's going to the border. Just remember what she's done and just remember what I did. And if you forgot, let me tell you not just what I did, but exactly what I'm going to do.
On day one of my new administration, I will stop all migrant flights immediately. They should stop them tonight. She can do that. Just sign one little page saying, stop the migrant flights. But she won't do that. They're infecting our country. They're destroying our country. I will shut down all entries through the migrant phone app, something that most of you haven't even heard of, but it's very active and taking in thousands and thousands of people a week. I will end catch and release. And I will remain in Mexico. I'm going to tell Mexico, thank you very much. You're putting it back right away. You're putting it back, and they will do it too when I tell them.
Yeah, you're putting it back Remain in, we're putting it back, and they're going to do it. They'll do it because I'm going to tell them. I'm going to go, hey, guys, I hope you enjoyed your Biden time, but guess what?
It's Trump time.
And you're putting that Remain in Mexico back. I hope you enjoyed your Kamala time, but guess what?
It's Trump time.
And we are going back to Remain in Mexico. We are going to fix that border. You guys are going to address the problems on your own southern border, and we're going to stop all of this illegal migration because we're sick and tired of it. We're sick and tired of it. And Donald Trump, he's putting his money. Kamala Harris is going to the border, which again is too little too late. Donald Trump's been to the border a dozen times. Republican lawmakers have been to the border a dozen times. You know where Donald Trump's going next? He's going to the communities that have become like border states because of these airline flights and these migrant drops in the middle of the night, like, Springfield, Ohio, and Aurora, Colorado.
I will bring back Title 42. I will send a federal law enforcement, large group of people, but a tough group of people to liberate Aurora, Colorado. The governor of Colorado is petrified of these gangs. These are Venezuelan gangs with equipment better than our military has, going in with guns. The governor of Colorado is a coward. He's afraid to do what you have to do. And every other town that has been taken over by the migrant gangs and criminal alien thugs. And I think I'll go to a couple of these towns over the next 2 weeks. You'll see for yourself what's happened to them.
And that's exactly what presidents do. They go to these places. Donald Trump was the only one that went to East Palestine, Ohio, when the tanker exploded and the cloud of toxic gas poisoned the entire area. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg did not go there until days after. Joe Biden claimed he was going to go there, but as far as I know, I don't think, has he ever even gone there? And if he goes there, does anyone really care at this point? Joe Biden's like the tree. If a tree falls in the woods, does anybody care? Or does anyone hear it? That's Joe Biden, who, by the way, has a brand new job, but I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll get to that here in just a minute. This immigration crisis that we're having, these invasions in Aurora, Colorado, the invasions of Haitians, cat-eating Haitians in Springfield, Ohio.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat.
Now, this is all a direct result of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and what they've done since they came into office. And when they came into office, the very first thing they did was to undo all of the positive immigration dictates that Donald Trump put in place.
But on her first day in office, Kamala Harris terminated every single Trump policy that sealed and secured the border. She ordered an immediate stop to the completion of the border wall. It was almost complete. We built hundreds and hundreds of miles of wall, and it worked. I always said, walls and wheels. Everything else is obsolete, but walls and wheels, and this wall worked.
Yeah, walls and wheels. They both work. What's the difference between Joe Biden and walls and wheels? Walls and wheels work. You could also say the same thing about Kamala Harris. But he's like, look, they undid it. They stopped building the wall, and the wall worked. They stopped all of my immigration policies. They stopped Remain in Mexico when Remain in Mexico worked. They terminated all of these things. And this is the worst part, and I think this is what angers Donald Trump, and it's what angers me, and it's sure as heck fire what should anger you, is that not only did Kamala Harris waltz on into the White House with her good buddy old Scranton Joe Biden and erase every single positive piece of immigration legislation and every single positive executive order that Donald Trump signed to protect this country, to protect her citizens, to protect Republicans and Democrats and those pesky independents all over the place, to make sure that illegal immigrants weren't just surging through our borders unprotected, unknown, or even worse, with the aid and abetment, with the help of the federal government. He did all of that on day one. They came in and they undid it all. And now, guess who they're blaming? Guess who they're blaming for all of these issues we have with immigrants?
You will hear Kamala claim that the reason the border is not secure is that Congress has refused to pass her atrocious border bill. It's the worst bill you've ever seen. It would allow people to come in here at levels that would be incredible and would allow them to get citizenship. But it was not a border bill. It was an amnesty bill.
It was an amnesty bill. And thank God it didn't pass. And Kamala Harris and they did this on purpose. They knew it wouldn't pass, and they knew they could come back and then throw it in everybody's face.
And they duped a couple of people that shouldn't have been duped. It would give her the power to put all newly entering illegal aliens on a fast track to citizenship. It would enshrine and expand catch and release, and it would give a permanent feature of federal laws that are absolutely unacceptable. She keeps talking about this law that they tried to put through Congress, but fortunately Congress was too smart for it.
Yeah, for a change. And I want to bring this up because this is important. A lot of people ask about this bill. A lot of people say, who's telling the truth? Kamala Harris says Donald Trump killed the bill and it would have been the best bill ever. That's not at all what the truth is. And I'm going to tell you the truth about this border bill. But before I do, I have to share with you this information about Clint Winters. Clint Winters is a name that you may have heard, and not just because I've been talking about it for the past couple of days, but Clint Winters is a medical specialist who's one of those guys that, comes along and says, hey, there's got to be a better way to handle pain. A lot of people have chronic pain or intense pain or pain that just won't go away. They have pain in their arms, their shoulders, their joints. And when you go to the doctor, what does the doctor do? They say, oh, let me prescribe for you an expensive chemical medication that will put in your body and will, trick you into thinking you don't have any more pain. You're not going to feel it, but it's not going to help you in a natural way. And you could even have harmful side effects and addictions as a result. Well, Clint Winters has come up with something really cool. Clint Winters has come up with something called canalidine. And canalidine is this fantastic natural ingredient. What canalidine does is it helps you use your body's natural endorphins. And your body's natural endorphins are your natural painkillers. So when you have a natural substance like canalidine and it comes in and it helps you to boost your endorphins and not feel pain, then you know that you're getting a healthy alternative to all of these drugs. He also has a great deal going on right now for anyone who watches this show. If you go to trycono.com/MarkK, trycono.com/MarkK, you can get until midnight this pain-relieving canalidine, and it's less than $1 a day. Less than $1 a day. It's used by the UFC. It's used by the Sports Business Journal. Athletes use this because they don't, if you're an athlete, if you're anybody, you don't want unnatural substances in your body. You want something that's all natural. And canalidine is the go-to for millions of Americans. Over 1 million Americans use canalidine to help them with their pain. And pain, unfortunately, as you get older, as you get, less and less active, or as your body starts to get, a little more mature, you start to feel it. You need some kind of remedy. Clint Winters thinks that canalidine is the best way to go. That's why he's made this special offer. The website address, again, there's a link to it in the description of this video, but you can go to trycono.com/MarkK and learn all about it and get that special offer. All right. So Kamala's been lying about pretty much everything.
What's the first word that pops into your head when you hear the name Kamala Harris?
Liar.
Yeah, I want to get that kid on the show. But one of the big things is this bill. In fact, in her MSNBC sit-down solo catastrophic interview that she did with Stephanie Ruhle the other day, Kamala Harris brought up this same lie about this bill.
Months ago, some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress came together with others, proposed a border security bill. That would have put 1,500 new border agents on the border to help those hardworking border agents who are there right now working around the clock. Would have put more money into stemming the flow of fentanyl, which is killing Americans around our country and devastating communities. Would have put more resources into our ability to prosecute transnational criminal organizations, which in my career I've prosecuted. Donald Trump got word of the bill, realized it was going to fix a problem he wanted to run on, and told him to kill the bill, don't put it up for a vote. He killed a bill that would have actually been a solution because he wants to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem.
Okay, that is a lie. That's one of the biggest lies ever. That's one of the things that the Democrats planned with this bill. They knew it all along. But Byron Donalds, Representative Byron Donalds from right here in the great state of Florida, Byron Donalds, when this bill first came to the House of Representatives and they voted it down, he had a great explanation about why this bill passed. And he reminded people a couple of things. Number one, this bill is trash. And number two, The bill died before Donald Trump even told anybody he was against it.
Members contacted Speaker Johnson, and we were very clear. There is no way the Senate bill should get a vote in the House because it is a terrible piece of legislation that will not secure the southern border. House Republicans have passed border security measures, H.R. 2. We did it more than a year ago. Has Chuck Schumer brought it up for even debate or a vote in the Senate? No, he has not. Has the White House decided to reach out to the Speaker Johnson to debate and deliberate or negotiate or compromise on H.R. 2 and its elements to secure the southern border? No, they have not. They're in charge in the Senate and in the White House. They've done nothing except a bill that couldn't even make it out of the Senate. So I think it's important to set the record straight. Oh, also, by the way, House Republicans weren't going to vote for that bill. And that was before Donald Trump even made his view known on the Senate compromise bill. We were already against it when the bill text came out because it's a trash bill.
It's a trash bill. We were already against it. I was at dinner. I read the text. I texted Mike Johnson and said, we are not voting for this bill. It's a trash bill. In fact, he put on his X feed. And if you ever want to know the truth about this bill, he actually pinned it, which is great. If you go to Byron Donalds, Congressman Byron Donalds, why the Senate border deal failed. It's not because Donald Trump picked up the phone and said, I got to run on immigration, so kill the bill. That's not at all what happened. Here it is. Number one, it codifies catch and release, which means it turns into law, or it puts in our law books the catch and release program. So that would be the norm. I mean, it already is, but that would be the norm solidified by the legal process. It lets in 1.8 million illegals, which I know what you're thinking. What's another 1.8 million illegals when we've already got over 20 million here? It funds sanctuary cities. We don't want to fund sanctuary cities. We want to defund sanctuary cities, because if you defund sanctuary cities, then the sanctuary cities have to say, hey, you know what? We can't afford any more. Funding sanctuary cities on the federal level means that you and me and all of the other people in the United States who don't live in sanctuary cities, who don't believe that illegals should be spoon-fed and handed all of these things that Americans have, by the way, with our tax dollars, we don't believe they should just be handed everything that they need because, well, we're smart. But these sanctuary cities are now getting federal funding, so your tax dollars are funding illegals, even though you said, no way, Jose. And I'm not being racist. That's just no way, Jose is an old expression. Fund NGOs moving illegals, non-government operations or non-government organizations moving illegals. That's a big problem, which I'll get into here in just a minute. Lawyers to illegals, work permits to illegals, no deportation of illegals who are already here, no funding for the wall, weak asylum screening. Oh, yes. And here's the kicker. Here's the kicker right there at the very end. We want a secure border bill. We need to make sure that we're securing the border. And Donald Trump and the House Republicans said, no, we don't want a secure border. No, they didn't want the $60 billion that was going to Vladimir Zelensky and Ukraine as part of our border protection bill. Donald Trump stopped my $60 billion. Now I gotta go to Trump Tower and smooch his buttocks is what I have to do. It's like I lost $60 billion because of this guy. Now I gotta go to Trump Tower and figure out what the hell how I support myself when I no longer have funding from government when Donald Trump's president. What am I going to do? Maybe I make wife write book like Melania. Maybe Melania, best-selling author. Maybe Oleana. Maybe she also write book. We can fund lavish lifestyle